Hello, mate. How's it going? Welcome on back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. As always, I hope that you're doing well, friend. I really do hope that today, on the day of the Enzo Fernandez sale, that's right. At time of recording, it's 8:28 a.m. on Friday the 14th. Not the 15th, fortunately. And it is, of course, deadline day for Enzo Fernandez to Manchester City. 5 p.m. UK time is the stated clean deadline. Hard deadline from Chelsea. Buy him before or don't buy him at all, because we're happy to keep him in that case. So to Enzo, we're happy to sell you if the money comes in, but they've got until this deadline. Of course, he wanted to go to Real Madrid. Real Madrid aren't going to buy him. They put out that statement. He loves Enzo Maresca. I think he wants to go to Man City. Man City want to sign him. Enzo Maresca wants to sign him. Chelsea, of course, bought Enzo Fernandez for 105 million Great British pounds, and they want to sell him for 120. A clean 15 million pound transfer profit, with, of course, a massive book profit because he's been at Chelsea for a few years now. Also, there's a case to be made that he's, for Xabi Alonso's system, he's eminently replaceable. The only thing is, undeniably, you're strengthening a rival because he's a great player, but you're making loads of money. It's a tricky situation, but it's a time for changing. We'll speak about that, but we're also going to speak about other transfers. Kellyman going to Strasbourg, and a permanent, apparently. The Napoli deal for Badiashile, that's done. Of course, we're still waiting to see what happens with Axel Disasi, another French centre-back. Crystal Palace, strong links, but a big loan price. There's an article on football.london about what the 4 rules that have changed at Chelsea since Xabi came in. We'll actually end the content speaking about the Enzo Fernandez situation and the hard deadline. It's going to be a great piece of content, gang. Do this. For those of you watching the video, like and subscribe. I'm very grateful for your continued support here on the channel. You got any of those sweet hype points? Drop them on here. Down here, mate. Football Yannick, there's daily uploads. I did speak about Enzo from a non-Chelsea lens yesterday, but I've been speaking about all sorts on the second channel. The Strasbourg to my Chelsea. Subscribe to Football Yannick. Alright, mate, so let's get into it then. Let's start off with this. This is Blue Dodger on X, aggregating some Chelsea news. Cardiff have missed out on Omari Kellerman. Of course, he was there last season on loan, because he's understood to be close to agreeing to join Chelsea's sister club, Strasbourg, in a permanent deal. Now, this is good, because he's a good young talent. He did cost us over £20 million, of course. He was part of that Martson Kellyman funny deal between Chelsea and Aston Villa. I wonder if that special relationship is continuing after, Morgan Rogers coming in, obviously for an inflated price, like Kellyman did back then. But I wonder what's going to happen if Nico Jackson's going to go off to Aston Villa, despite impressing in pre-season. And a lot of Chelsea fans recognising the positivity that Jackson can contribute to a Chelsea side. I just think he'll want to go and be a starting striker somewhere, and he simply cannot do that at Chelsea now with the emergence of Joao Pedro. So yes, Kellyman, I say it's good because it's a permanent and we have limited international loan spots. We're about to speak about one in Badiashile going to Naples. And of course, even like Disasi to Palace, they're filling up quickly. Of course, there's big old talk about, hasn't Jorgensen gone to Strasbourg on a dry loan as well? And Misha Mudryk, unless Mykhailo Mudryk is doing amazing things in pre-season and Xabi Alonso's thinking, oh, I'm going to use him as this guy, and I need one of these guys. I find that very hard to believe, as we're very well stocked at the moment. We'll probably only need, dare I say, a central midfielder to replace Enzo Fernandez, should they get done today. And if you think about it, we've got 2 left-backs, first choice Chavadia, we got Jarell Hato, you got Palestra who can play on the left, still kind of Gusto who can play on the left. That's Gusto and Neto are fascinating ones to follow at the end of this window, because they're both kind of players that I think Chelsea could sell and not necessarily need to replace, even though they could also both play in the team a lot if they get a lot of money for them, But really covered at left back. Right back, we've got the aforementioned Palestra, still Gusto, still Reece James, still Kenda and Neto. Neto stays, but they can play right wing back. Really, stacked there. We've got loads of centre-backs to the point we need to get rid of some. And we've got loads of wingers and attackers and stuff like that. So, I don't really see the outgoings are massively important, including international loan spots. spots. That's why it's important that Amari Kellyman goes on a permanent to Strasbourg. If he does amazing and Chelsea want him, I'm sure they'll find a way to negotiate him back to Chelsea. Alright, so let's talk about this then. It's happened yesterday. All my troubles seem so far away. Napoli agreed deal to sign Chelsea defender Badiashile. Ooh la la, on loan. Twomey and Johnson write the following. Napoli have agreed to sign Chelsea defender Badiashile on a season-long loan. The agreement consists of 3.4 million Great British pounds for loan fee. Presumably they're covering his salary, or they are covering his salary in full. This is cheaper than what Chelsea are asking for, Disasi and Palace. But then again, Palace is probably more money than Napoli, because that's how the Premier League works. Loan fee and an option. So it's not an obligation, guys. It's an option for a fixed fee of 27 million euro, which is 23 million pounds, which actually, with the loan fee, brings it over the 25 million pound asking price. And they're paying for the duration, they're paying for his salary, for the duration of the loan. So really, they'll be getting their money that they want. He's only 25 still, and he was deemed surplus to requirements at Chelsea after making just 16 appearances across all comps last season. He was omitted from the squad's pre-season tour while they're trying to get him a move elsewhere. You hear stuff from Ben Jacobs, I heard this on the Londoners Blue Pod, that they actually, really rate Badiashile in the background in terms of his development. They think he, line-breaking passes, big, strong guy, left footer, left-sided centre-back. They are rare. We always thought maybe he'd be the sort of deputy to Levi Colwill on the left. But, ultimately, not worked out. We've got too many centre-backs. He's a sellable asset. We bought him originally for 32 million, so that was January 2023, so 2.5 years ago. Am I right? Wait, no. Yes, my brain. Oh my giddy aunt. Anyway, his book value is probably what we're selling him for, so there'll probably be no financial losses there, book losses, sorry. But form and fitness prevented him from establishing himself as a regular starter. He made 71 appearances for Chelsea. He used to play in the France team. His last cap came in the summer of 22. Chelsea are working hard on outgoings, of course, ahead of the transfer deadline, which is on the 1st of September. Alonso's squad is particularly bloated at centre-back, despite the sale of Trevoh Chalobah in a juicy $41 million deal. Chelsea defender Tosin Adarabioyo has received interest from multiple clubs. Oh my god, I need to sneeze. Man, there's no more tragic tale than losing a sneeze, and the closer you are to having said sneeze and losing it, the sadder it is. And I just had that. Terrible. Been bald by my sneezing. Sorry, inappropriate joke. Defender Tosin received multiple interest, I believe, Premier League clubs, which doesn't surprise me. And Benfica. Now, I didn't really make the Benfica link, but of course, it's Marco Silva over at Benfica now, who of course managed him at Fulham. So that makes more sense now. He likes Tosin. Tosin is... Do you call it pure profit because he was a free transfer? Because academy graduates are pure profit, but Tosin surely is pure profit too, because profit. Ah, delicious coffee. So yes, several loan interests. Mamadou Sarr is getting a loan as well. We're trying to loan him to England, although he does have loan interest in Europe as well. Doesn't surprise me as he played in France quite well for a while. Yeah, Mamadou Sarr, I think, is still highly rated. I think he's a right footer but plays on the left, but he's a left-sided defender, of which are more rare. I reckon, yeah, a nice Premier League loan for him would do him the world of good, and of course he couldn't play against us. Axel Disasi is also expected to leave this summer. The French defender spent the second half of the season loan at West Ham. He's valued at 25 milli. Oh yeah, sorry, excuse me. On the Benoit Badiashile, we valued him at 30 million apparently, and it was Disasi that was 20 million. So actually we made slightly less than our valuation if Napoli do trigger the option to buy him. But I think maybe the 30 million is more of a Premier League figure, and when you sell outside the Premier League, you drop a few mil because they don't have much money out there. Let's move on. Righty-ho then. Santi Auna, journalist, has spoken about Axel Disasi, French journalist, French player. Chelsea are demanding 5 million euro for a dry loan for Axel Disasi, as some deemed excessive by Crystal Palace. I thought it was £5 million. 5 million euros, guys. What? out? You've got that Premier League money, mate. Why are you? And you're in Europe, aren't you? 5 million for a defender who's like, that can play for you all season well. Discussions are scheduled in the coming days to try and reach an agreement. Why are they being so tight? 5 million euros is like 3.6 million pounds. Let's go back to the So yeah, it's similar, slightly more probably, but similar to what the loan fee for Benoit Badiashile to Napoli. And Italian teams, Serie A, are synonymous with not having a lot of money, being broke, and trying to negotiate your fees down. So I think Palace and Parish at the top of the palace, king of the palace, he needs to stop being such a silly sausage. He's made so much friggin' money from the selling the likes of Gehi and friggin' Elise. Spend £4 million on a loan for a very experienced Premier League defender. My word. Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. There's loads and loads of outgoing still. Mamadou Sarbi on loan. I'm fascinated to see what happens with Aaron Anselmino. I don't know how bad his injury is. If it's not that bad, do you try and loan him still? Do you put him on the under-21s? That would be really unhelpful. You can't register him in your Premier League squad. We need a 25-man Premier League squad, and I've heard multiple content creators go into this. They add, like, the definites, and then leave out some big names, and they're like, oh, I've got 28. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was 27. So some of it, towards the end of the window, we might need to sell a Gusto or a Neto, like big name players, just to shave down the squad to accommodate players like, oh yeah, I suppose we do need Kender in the squad, and obviously Estevao and Palmer and Joao. And we need 3 strikers. We at the moment we have 6. We have Joao Pedro first choice, Danny Welbeck, who I actually think will be second choice or rotational second choice, and then what? I guess Emmanuel Omega, because you make too much. The sale options are too important for Nico Jackson. Profit. Delap, they want profit, but I think they're dreamers. And of course, Mark Guiu, because he will definitely make profit because he costs 5 million quid. I don't know if we'll get the 25 million they want, but anything over 15 is like happy days, if you ask me. So there's 3 out of 6 that are going there. There's so many that need to go, man. It's crazy. Like your favourite player. Well, maybe not necessarily, but some people out there, one of your perhaps more favoured players, might have to go to accommodate this squad. If we need 3 goalkeepers and 3 strikers in the Premier League squad, and if we're really conservative and say only 4 centre backs, and at times we might play a back 3, which seems crazy. It's really hard to do. But let's talk about Xabi Alonso for a second here. So we're going to end on Enzo Fernandez because it is the Enzo day, of course. But I do want to speak about this first. This is Football.London. Harry Brent writes, Xabi Alonso's 4 Chelsea rule changes as new manager lays down the law. Some of this stuff we sort of already know, but this is sort of testament to, it personifies the changes going into the season. Chelsea is sweeping, is sweeping through Chelsea following the appointment of Xabi Alonso. Heck, the period of self-reflection was real, guys. It was real. With the Spaniard wasting little time to put his stamp on the club. Alonso has inherited a team that finished in a disappointing 10th. This is the last time I want to hear this. We're literally like, what was it, a week or so away from the season. I want to stop hearing about 10th place. In the Premier League last season, a campaign that intensified scrutiny on Blue Co's ownership and the controversial methods that have defined its 4 years at Stamford Bridge. The new regime delivered some success on the pitch, with Chelsea winning both the Conference League and the Club World Cup, while their unprecedented spending has made them one of the biggest forces in the transfer market. I mean, lots of buying and selling, of course, money changing hands. But questions have continued to linger over the club's long-term direction, as well as the recruitment model and the transfer strategy imposed by the hierarchy, those sporting directors, of course. Alonso's appointment, however, appears to have marked something of a shift of balance in power. The former Real Madrid boss has been afforded greater influence over key decisions, with Chelsea seemingly beginning to move away from some of the practices that have characterised the Blue Co era. We used to pray for days like these, insert meme. Alonso is already making his presence felt. There are 4 notable changes with his arrival. Yeah, and obviously, like, in terms of making his presence felt, the players seemingly love him. Cole Palmer's loving life. I don't think I've ever seen him so happy. You got Levi Colwell saying he's jealous of the passing ability of Xabi. He's getting involved in all training. He's running 10Ks three times a week at 4.3 minutes per mile. Sorry, a kilometre on a 10K. My guy's like mid-40s. That is so impressive. So, first of all, we've abandoned the under-25 rule, okay? Arguably, the clearest indication of change at Chelsea under Alonso has been to abandoning the U25 only recruitment policy. That was synonymous with Blueco, of course. Their thinking was straightforward: assemble a squad packed of children, and they all develop. I'm paraphrasing here. They all develop together, basically, grow up together, and make a dynasty, legacy, super team, and Chelsea end up going, we're so clever. We broke the system. We just bought kids and let them grow together. I think it made sense on pitch. However, the strategy left Chelsea looking conspicuously short of experience and leadership. The squad became increasingly homogenous with few senior figures capable of taking control when the game began to turn against them. Yeah, and of course the red cards, guys. The discipline, the lack of maturity, and just the incapacity to implode was profound. We tried to go for Granit Xhaka, which of course was the early indication of change, and of course we went to the Wunderunks, Hendo and Dab Boy Welbs. Of course, while we brought in a 26-year-old in Maxence Lacroix, signed, sealed, delivered, Premier League experience in his prime, as is Chavaria, who's 28. Little guy. I thought he was a lot bigger, but these are guys in their late 20s. Mid to late 20s, well in their prime, looking to, do this. And of course, Xabi himself said we need players of this age profile across the board. We need people in their early 20s, late 20s, and mid 30s, I think he said. Hey, Mia, Captain. Greater managerial authority. Of course, he was given the title manager over head coach, and we haven't had one since Mourinho's second spell in 2015, over a decade ago. Even the likes of Conte and Tuchel were head coach. So, on the surface, it might look a little bit more than administrative semantics, but in reality, the change is symbolic of a much broader shift in Alonso's role. Unlike his predecessors, he's expected to have greater says in the club's decision-making. I don't know if it's more than transfers. I doubt it will be like marketing and commercial and advertising and sponsors, but maybe he'll be consulted with how the training ground's built, if they've got, obviously we're going to hopefully build a new Stamford Bridge one day, but if they were like, because sometimes like Mikel Arteta changed the size of the technical area at Arsenal. He's a manager and not a head coach. You wonder if he'd have influence and stuff like that. Much more influence on transfers and coaching in his coaching squad. It's particularly noteworthy given how Chelsea have operated since Blueco's takeover. The club's recruitment strategy has traditionally been driven by its sporting hierarchy and data-led operation. Even managers big names like Tuchel and Pochettino weren't given the voice that Xabi Alonso had. Just to scull my coffee quickly. Right, tactical shift as well. This is obviously notable. Moving away from the certain controlled possession back four systems. I know he lined up with a 4-2-3-1 earlier in the preseason, but we switched to his preferred 3-4-2-1 in the final two games of preseason, which to me is an indicator of that's the Xabi Alonso Chelsea system. And actually in the Milan game against AC, granted it was Ruben Amorim's AC Milan and they played it back three, but it looked the best. And this system probably is a big indicator of willingness to change because it changes the profile of players you buy, and that's obviously been the sporting director's, department. So they've obviously submitting to change there as well. Physical standards finally is a big one. Of course, we ran the least last season. I know we got to the Club World Cup final, and a lot of people say that's like part of that. But I think maybe it's just because we were a bunch of slacking children that had no direction. Alonso has wasted little time in making his expectations clear. Intensity is not optional at Chelsea. The Spaniard has declared that high-intensity pressing and recovery are, quote, compulsory and mandatory for every player. Every player, warning that anyone who's unable to maintain certain demands of the Premier League football will not feature. He said, look, we need good energy, we need to run, we need to work hard, we need the sacrifices which are compulsory and mandatory in each Premier League game. bars. To win each game, it's tough. We need to prepare for that. We will see. Mic drop. Ooh. Yeah, by all accounts, it's been a grueling and intense preseason. It was the last time we won the Premier League as well under Antonio Conte, and I think the players hated that. I seem to remember Eden Hazard talking about it, Cesc Fabregas talking about it. It's mad, isn't it? Cesc Fabregas, Como manager, who he just bought Trevo off us. I remember him talking about his preseason under Conte, playing under him. It seems like yesterday, but it's not. It's a long time ago now. Yeah, grueling preseason, but seemingly all the Chelsea players are locked into the Xabi Alonso preseason. So the vibes are good, but we'll expect a lot more energy and running, and, you know, they will be better for that. Right, finally, Enzo Fernandez. There's an article here that I'm not going to go through here, but it's I do recommend it by Connor O'Neill on the Athletic. It's about the statistics. Should Chelsea keep him, or is his skill set replaceable? Basically, essentially highlighting that Enzo Fernandez is a good player, but for us, he's sort of eminently replaceable. And actually, I sort of stand by that. We'll probably don't see better off without him, but we're like, in terms of how we want to play profiling, it's not necessarily a crying shame loss, because we're going to play with the box midfield, almost certainly the 3-4-2-1 for a lot of games, and therefore you'll need a double pivot, a robust double pivot, and you'll need attacking 10s. He could have played the left pocket as an attacking 10, but it wouldn't have been the same, would have been more direct, and like, dare I say, it would have been a little bit of a waste of Enzo Fernandez's skill set. I think we're going to play genuinely with, I think the starters, even if it looks ostensibly like a 4-2-3-1, it will shift into his shape in possession. It will be asymmetrical. It will be left pocket Morgan Rogers. It will be right pocket Cole Palmer. In fact, look at this graphic here on said article. Rogers and Palmer operated in different areas last season. Cole Palmer, right pocket, dare I say even right wing, which I don't like to see chalk on his boots too much. Morgan Rogers, left pocket. So Morgan Rogers would be playing here in the Enzo Fernandez space, and we've just spent £117 million on him. He's going to play, and he's going to operate where he does his best work. And we want to see the besties, the ice cold bros, playing together, don't we? So that's what we want. So there is a huge argument that, and suddenly, if you keep Enzo Fernandez, which, by the way, we might still do, he'll be in the defensive midfield pivot. It'll be Caicedo on the left. This is my right, but your left. And then Enzo next to him, passing, maybe playing the Granit Xhaka role, I don't know. But I think it will end up being a purchased replacement that it suits better as a sort of deep-lying central midfielder rather than a box-crashing number 8. And Enzo Fernandez might even know that, and he probably thinks, well, I go to, even though Xabi Alonso is an amazing world-class midfielder, and he's probably had conversations with him, and he's probably said, it's an honour to meet you, what a great player you were, and manager, but I want to go. I've wanted to go for a while, and I know Enzo Maresca will play me in a certain way that you probably won't play me, which is fair, and I'll go and get to operate like this box-crashing 8, score some goals. So this is what it comes down to. For me, I really like Chelsea's position on this. Buy or don't. This is the price. This is the deadline. We're happy to keep him, put our foot on their neck, essentially. And I'm here for it. We don't need to do Man City any favours because of how they stitched us up with Maresca. I mean, in the end, it all worked out because I think, personally, Xabi Alonso's, I'd much rather him as a Chelsea manager than Enzo Maresca anyway. So it all worked out, really, for me. But it doesn't still change the fact how he and they kind of stitched us up. So Chelsea don't need to do them any favours. We will sell you Enzo Fernandez for our price, which, by the way, in this market is totally fine and very reasonable. When where did Forest finish? 14th, when their midfielder is going for £114 million that you've just paid for, by the way. This World Cup winner that scores goals and assists and gets to a consecutive World Cup finals and is 25 and yada, yada, yada. You can pay £120 million for him. Shut up, bruv. You have to. My position is, if we sell him, we'll make a lot of money, and we'll probably buy someone that is more appropriate for the role that Xabi Alonso needs. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Like it would have been ideal to sell 120 million pounds to Real Madrid, because outside of mine, I'm not gonna change history or move the goalposts here or do any mental gymnastics. Enzo Fernandez is an excellent footballer and he's a winner, and he absolutely makes Man City better. Even if not all the Man City fans aren't excited about him, losing like Rodri and Reinders and Bernardo Silva, they lost their midfield, but they've brought in Elliot Anderson, who's excellent. He's excellent. He's he's really good as well. Boyardi, the young kid, he'll be really good. And Enzo Fernandez, you've brought in excellent midfielders there. You're good. Look, it'll be fascinating to see how good Man City are generally in a post-Pep era, and with a lot of their big characters gone. But yeah, that's the thing. For me, it's not the loss. You sell Enzo Fernandez, I'm totally okay with it. 120 million pounds, but it's the strengthening of Man City that makes me a bit uncomfortable. But ultimately, it's the position we're in, and I think maybe it just has to happen. And there's other nuances to this that you have to consider. He will get booed up and down the country because of the World Cup stuff. Rightly or wrong, whatever your opinion is, you might be an international Chelsea fan who's not an England fan. The majority of you will be, and you like, I don't care what he did to England. Fair, and I 100% get that. But England fans won't like Enzo Fernandez. Just is what it is, man. So, do you want to be the team that has him being booed up and down the country? Is that helpful to your team? Barco probably get a little bit of stick, although he's less of a profile of a defender from the Argentinian team, and of course probably won't start for a while. He's another player. Like, you've got, when I speak about the 25-man squad, like, the midfield, Barco's in there as well. You're gonna register him, and is he going to go on loan again? I don't know. Anyway, lots to get into, of course. I reckon, personally, I think Fernandez is sold today. And, of course, I'll react as soon as it happens. So make sure you turn the bell on when you like and subscribe on YouTube. Thank you for following me on the podcast apps. Please do just search Football Therapy Podcast, find the logo and follow it and give me a 5-star rating, whether it's Spotify or Apple. It takes a second, and I'll be very grateful to you. Thank you for doing that, friends. Other than that, if you want more content, check out Football Yannick, and keep it locked, man. See you soon. Peace.